It's been said that every hero needs a villain, and by that notion, it's safe to say that every villain needs a hero. Good versus evil is an archetype that can be spread across all walks of fiction, and in the world of action figures, this is no different. With the sheer volume of independent, upstart toy companies and the rise of fans becoming creators themselves, the interest in O-ring based, 3 3/4 inch scale, military themed figures is on the incline. Among these brands is Delta-17, War in the Shadows, and while the story of our heroes has been saved for another day, let's have a look at the very villains themselves that hide in the shadows, namely the key enemy faction known as the Dark Shadows, as well as their band of affiliated, hired mercenaries, Retrograd. Let's begin. Delta-17 are classified as Tier 1 operators unified into a clandestine Black Ops group. The idea is that legit government organizations have been secretly and illegally funding the enigmatic, militaristic cabal known as the Dark Shadows. The Dark Shadows' very existence and illicit ties to high-level government agencies are the very reason Delta-17's series of missions are conducted entirely off the books. And as glorious as these missions will seem during real-time execution, the recorded history of what goes down, who lives and who dies, and what the outcome of every battle is, as well as the stakes involved, will never ever be officially verified. In fact, they may as well have never occurred. Assembled as an underground group with a rumored unseen base of operations just off the coast of Japan, the Dark Shadows are led by their supreme leader, Shadow Dragon. Of course, every individual in existence has a history, but with history comes the relatable, humanized nature that is unique from one person to another. That simply isn't the case with Shadow Dragon though, who has no recorded name nor birthplace and whose past experiences are intentionally shrouded in mystery. All we know is that he is a walking enigma, who while characterized as evil by those who know of his existence, he understands that the modern world has blurred the lines between good and evil. In his own words, good and evil are just subjective terms. Without honor, both sides are meaningless. And therein lies a certain truth about Shadow Dragon. Despite his intentions, he believes in a certain code of honor, and will exude this honor whether he is calling the shots from his base of operations or whether he's on the front lines of a battle. Taking on some characteristics of a samurai, Shadow Dragon wields multiple bladed weapons and does so with such ease that even the most advanced swordsman would be in awe of his speed, precision, and overall combat prowess. Yet, where he trained and how he acquired such unmatchable skills are as mysterious as the face behind the mask that he wears. And since sheer mystery and a lack of answers is a theme among the Dark Shadows ranks, it's no surprise that Jaguar, the cold right hand of the dragon, is every bit as enigmatic as his leader. Yet another member of the Dark Shadows whose real name and birthplace are unknown, Jaguar differs from Shadow Dragon in that Jaguar has never spoken out loud in public. If anything, Jaguar prefers to communicate through his small handheld device that sends telegraphic messages via Morse code back to headquarters. Functionally, he is Shadow Dragon's official second in command within the Dark Shadows, however that varies from one operation to another, particularly if Death Sparrow is required to lead a mission when Retrograd takes the lead for a task in the field. Jaguar's skills are such that he is a hidden assassin, virtually unmatchable in hand-to-hand combat, though some may say the Shadow Dragon is the more dangerous swordsman. That said, we may never know who the better melee specialist really is, given that they fight on the same side. But you can add elite sniping skills to Jaguar's repertoire as well, and in terms of his athletic abilities, he's as fleet-footed as they come, making him deadly both in close quarters as well as in long-range combat. He can be described as an all-in-one, expert, living weapon. The army builder for the Dark Shadows are the robot ninjas known as the Okami, which translated back into English means wolf. Unique in that they have the characteristics of both infantry as well as assassins, they are unlike what the common person would expect in a robot. They are fast when they have to dash from one location to another mid-battle, they're light in construction so as not to be burdensome during transport, and they're very agile for close-range combat. Thus, they are a pure nightmare to face on the battlefield. Since they are non-sentient, they will have no fear of injury, and they are deadly in that their hands can be swapped out with bladed weapons or even submachine guns. Equipped with night vision and thermal optics, they also have an antenna on their heads where commands can be received from headquarters, particularly from Shadow Dragon himself. It's hard to know how many Okami robots Shadow Dragon has in his army, but they come out in such waves that one can assume that more units are continuously being built within the Dark Shadows' hidden facilities. And while the Dark Shadows in of themselves are intimidating enough, what with being a global level threat yet remaining entirely behind the scenes, a second equally significant threat exists with Retrograd. And adding to this threat level is Retrograd's continual employment and overall alliance with the Dark Shadows, keeping these two factions tied together as a unified force. Being a mercenary faction consisting of disgruntled Russian Spetsnaz members, Retrograd is headed up by their field leader, who is known as Death Sparrow. Unlike Shadow Dragon or Jaguar, Death Sparrow does not benefit from keeping her name, her face, nor her origin a secret. She is Anya Petrovich, born in Moscow, and is presently at the peak of her military, or shall we say, mercenary career. Her backstory is such that she had a hard life as a child, and found solace in joining the Russian army at a very young age. Being trained as a Spetsnaz operative herself, she stood out for her natural combat effectiveness and natural leadership qualities. As long as she and her crew members are paid, and paid in gold for that matter, she will answer to the Dark Shadows. If it's a target to be eliminated, an asset to capture, you name it. Death Sparrow is a mercenary's mercenary through and through. Agree to a mission, execute said mission, and take payment. Rinse, repeat. We'll note that our enemy faction has not one army builder type, but two. As such, Retrograd's army builder is the mercenary infantry known as the Thunder Battalion, and while that is their group name and the one that Death Sparrow will use in the field, the Thunder Battalion are recruited from special operations units across Russia, particularly Spetsnaz trained soldiers. The ranks of the Thunder Battalion are bolstered through word of mouth that the Retrograd mercenary unit has better overall compensation than their government-sanctioned military. By that, we refer to higher pay, better food and accommodations, and just overall better benefits. As long as you had the Spetsnaz training while possessing the cold, uncaring nature required to be a mercenary, and found excitement in the violence and unbridled combat that comes with being a part of Retrograd, you could find yourself marching as part of the Thunder Battalion. The Thunder Battalion are armed with their own weapons loadout, but also have a helmet and visor, and they are proficient in a broad range of military tactics. Namely, in addition to hand-to-hand combat, they can handle infiltration, escape and evasion tactics, emergency medical training, explosives and demolition assignments, as well as alpine mountaineering, among others. Overall, if you like to root for the heroes to succeed, then Delta-17 certainly has their work cut out for them with this enemy grouping. A conglomeration of nearly indestructible android ninjas, an unfathomably skilled assassin, a deadly leader with top-end political connections, not to mention the threat of a cooperatively fierce mercenary faction, and this war in the shadows is a war on multiple fronts. In this story, you'll see everything from open field battle to secret operations. Those looking to trace the history of this underground war won't find much, as those involved know that leaving behind evidence or creating a paper trail of activities could have damning consequences to the patriots looking to do right by this world and its people. And therein lies the beauty of this story, its characters, and the toy line that's set to be put into the hands of collectors by the time 2023 is over. Visit Delta17Toys.com and check our social media portals in the description below for more information. See you again soon.